The court notice arrived on a Tuesday morning. I thought it was junk mail at first. A thick envelope with my name printed too formally. I opened it while standing in the kitchen, coffee still in my hand. By the second line, my fingers went cold. Plaintiffs, my parents. Reason, financial negligence toward family responsibility. I read it 3 times before it made sense. They were suing me because I refused to pay my sister's debt. Hey, if you enjoy my content, please subscribe and hit the bell. Your support means everything and helps me keep creating. Thank you so much. I sat down slowly, the paper trembling in my grip. My sister had been unemployed for almost a year. Bad decisions, unpaid credit cards, personal loans she never mentioned until collectors started calling the house. My parents had begged me to help. Just clear it once. My mother had said, "She's your sister." I didn't create the debt. I replied, "I'm not paying for it." That was the end of the conversation. Or so I thought. Apparently, it wasn't. I called my father immediately. He answered on the second ring, like he had been waiting. "So you got it," he said. "You're suing me?" I asked, unable to keep the disbelief out of my voice. "You left us no choice," he replied calmly. "Family helps family. You have money. She doesn't." I laughed, but it came out hollow. "That's your legal argument. You abandoned your responsibility as a daughter." The words hit harder than I expected. Not because they were true, because they had convinced themselves they were. I hung up without saying goodbye. For years, I had worked hard, built my life carefully, stayed independent. I helped when I wanted. I gave when I chose. But this was different. They weren't asking. They were trying to force me. That evening, I pulled out every message, every call log, every time they had asked me to pay, and I had clearly refused. I knew something they didn't. They had no legal ground, but they were counting on something else. Guilt, fear, pressure, the same tools they had used my whole life. I booked an appointment with a lawyer the next morning. When I handed him the court papers, he read them silently, then looked up with raised eyebrows. "They actually filed this?" "Yes." He shook his head. "They're trying to intimidate you. This won't hold in court." I felt relief for half a second. Then he added, "But since they started this, you have a chance to end it properly." I leaned forward. "What do you mean?" He tapped the papers. "If they want to bring family finances into court, then everything becomes visible. Who owes what? Who signed what? Who benefited from what?" A strange calm settled over me, because suddenly I remembered things they probably hoped I had forgotten. Old loans in my name when I was younger. Money I contributed that was never returned. Documents I signed without understanding. If they wanted a courtroom, they were about to get the full story, and they had no idea what I was really about to do. I didn't panic. I organized. That same night, I pulled out an old box from the back of my closet. Inside were papers I had kept for no clear reason at the time. Old bank slips, photocopies of forms, screenshots of transfers, messages from years ago where my parents asked me to temporarily use my name for things. Back then, I thought it was normal. Family stuff. Now, under legal light, it looked very different. I made 3 piles on my table. What they were accusing me of. What I had proof of. What they hoped I forgot. The 3rd pile was the thickest. By morning, I emailed everything to my lawyer. He called me an hour later. "This is bigger than I thought." He said, "They didn't just pressure you emotionally. They used you financially for years." He asked me one question that stayed with me. "Do you want this to end quietly or completely?" I didn't hesitate. Completely. Because this was never about my sister's debt. This was about a pattern. A lifetime of treating me like a backup wallet with emotions attached. My lawyer filed a response to the lawsuit. Calm, professional, firm. But attached to it was something my parents didn't expect. A financial history. Every transfer I made into the house account. Every time I paid bills to help out. Every loan taken in my name when I was barely old enough to understand credit. Every message where they promised to return money that never came back. And one very important detail. My sister's debt. Some of it was in my name. Taken years ago. Rolled over. Ignored. Hidden. They weren't just asking me to pay for her mistakes. They had quietly tied me to them. When the court date arrived, I walked in calm. My parents sat on the other side, stiff, confident. My sister avoided eye contact. They thought this would be simple, that the judge would pressure me into family responsibility. Then my lawyer started speaking. He didn't raise his voice. He didn't accuse. He presented bank records, dates, signatures, messages, a timeline that showed how, for nearly a decade, my finances had been used, redirected, and entangled without my full knowledge. I watched my father's expression change first, then my mother's, then my sister's. The judge flipped through the pages slowly. "Is this accurate?" he asked my parents. They tried to explain, said it was family understanding, said I agreed to help. My lawyer slid printed messages across the desk. Messages where I asked for money back. Messages where I said I was uncomfortable. Messages they ignored. Silence filled the room. The case had shifted. This was no longer about me refusing to help my sister. This was about them using me for years and hoping I'd stay quiet out of guilt. The judge didn't look impressed. He scheduled a deeper financial review, which was the last thing they wanted, because now everything would be examined. Not just the debt, not just today, the past. Outside the courtroom, my mother grabbed my arm. "Why are you doing this?" she whispered. I gently removed her hand. "You sued me?" I said calmly. "I'm just answering properly." For the first time in my life, they looked nervous around me. Not because I was loud, because I was prepared. The financial review took weeks. Auditors went through accounts my parents hadn't touched in years. Loans they forgot existed. Transfers they assumed were buried in time. My name kept appearing in places it never should have. The final report was simple and brutal. I didn't owe my sister anything. They owed me money taken in my name, payments I made without reimbursement, interest that had quietly piled up for years. In court, the judge didn't lecture. He summarized. This lawsuit was filed to pressure the defendant into paying a debt that is not legally hers. Evidence shows a long pattern of financial misuse by the plaintiffs. My parents didn't argue. They couldn't. The case was dismissed. Then came the part they never imagined. The court approved my counterclaim. They were ordered to repay a significant portion of what I had lost over the years. Outside, my sister tried to speak. I stopped her gently. "This was never about your debt," I said. "It was about ending this for good." I walked away without anger, without drama. They tried to use court to force me back into the role I had outgrown. Instead, they gave me the perfect place to finally break it.